welcome back. This will be my intro from now on because there was a few people who disliked it and there weren't enough likes. It took me like 8 hours to make this. So I don't understand why anyone doesn't like this. If you don't get the message, then you probably shouldn't be listening to me. Alright, so that'll be my intro. Just to trigger those people. I don't know what triggered them. You're looking way too much into it if you didn't like it or there's something wrong with you. Let's take a look at my channel. So I need to reinstate all of my videos after the purge, right? If you look on the right here, it doesn't matter if you're on my smaller channel or my larger channel. You just click subscribe on the right, and then you could subscribe to my other channels. Those are our other channels, right? It's not that hard. Just in case if my main one gets taken down. If you're, I did not upload the live stream that I did a few days ago. It was a Q&A. To the other channel, I could only do a live stream on one of my channels, which will be my main channel that I'll do it on. As long as it's around, right? So, yeah, the strikes were taken away, so no big deal. For now. It'll never end, though. It will never end. So, you know, expect more shenanigans to happen in the future until eventually they get what they want, which is pretty much MSM on this platform, and then the platform will fail, just like everything else. So it'll be self-destructive, but I don't think they care as long as they get as long as the share price goes higher, right, from cheap money that's being injected into the markets. All right, so in this video, let's so go to my smaller channel. If you're only on my smaller channel, go to my main channel because that's where I go live, and then find me on other platforms. I'm everywhere. All right, so what else? I'll do a little TA and price action towards the end. For now, let's talk about some things, like things in the news. People are tweeting. Not much has happened this week, guys. It was a holiday week. There wasn't much to report on, I guess. There wasn't much TA for me to put out, honestly. Besides the fact that gold and silver rallied, which we were anticipating anyways, right? So everything that I was anticipating 2 weeks ago is happening, right? It happened this week. So, but I'll talk about price in the markets in a second. Let's talk about what's going on. All right, so what is going on? So this is hilarious. Hilarious. Wow, Venezuela's stock market is up 4,963% this year. And I've been saying that for like 2 years now. Finally, other people are starting to tweet about it who have way more followers. And it's hilarious. What was the other tweet? This is so funny. Maduro laughs at Trump's puny 30%. So that's what I'm trying to point out. When you have inflation or hyperinflation, your stock market could go higher and higher and higher, but it has nothing to do with the real economy, right? And people think they're getting rich on the stock market, but they're not, because when they cash in their stocks, it's not going to be as worth as much because nominally the fiat currency is worth, it's being destroyed. So, and that's what we're also going to see eventually here as well. At least what I think we're going to see, right? Not financial advice. This channel's not financial advice. Consult your licensed financial advisor. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. It's just me giving my opinion. I could be completely wrong. And we're theorizing, and it's an educational channel on trading. All right. Look at this. It's imperative these days to have price targets for the next year, 2025. It's very... Right now, it feels like the end of the dot-com bubble. It feels like 1999 right now. It's very euphoric. Everyone thinks the market's just going to keep raging higher. Nothing's going to go wrong. even though with all of the turmoil globally, it just doesn't matter. Everyone ignores all fundamentals and just keep buying every dip if there's even a dip anymore. And it just feels very euphoric. That's all I want to say. And the fact that they're talking about like the market being much higher in like a few years from now. I mean, this time is different, right? That's literally what they're saying and thinking. Um, so the balance sheet since the repo operations has exploded. I've shown you guys charts. It's exploded right before every recession. So it's not just the yield curve and other indicators like all-time low unemployment and all-time high credit debt for private and public and for corporations as well. And the inverted yield curve that happened like, I don't know, 5 months back, something like that. But the repo market, this happens before recessions as well, and this is the biggest spike ever in history. So just want to touch base on that. So what else did I want to show you guys? Here, some visuals. CNBC is covering the strong gains on U.S. stocks in 2019, yet no talk about gold stocks outperforming the S&P 500 by about 35% this year. More importantly, while S&P earnings fell in 2019, earnings for gold stocks rose by over 70%. So as the S&P got more expensive, gold stocks got cheaper. If you base it against equities, right? So gold stocks have gone up, but the party hasn't really started. Like a lot of people think it's too late now to join the gold stock party. No, it's not. We're still at the beginning. Yes, I mean the longer you wait, the less chances of you're gonna like get life-changing possible ROI. Like, you know what I mean? Like tossing a few $100 here and there into some junior and small cap. I mean, if you would have started when I told you to a year ago, then your portfolio would be up like a lot. Like it's already like life-changing, right? So but if you look into the future, if silver just goes to $100 and gold goes to even just 3,000 or 5,000, like you're still early if you're getting in now, in my opinion, if your time horizon's for the next like 2 to 3 years. But if you would have gotten in a year ago, you would already be up massively. And then as we continue in the bull market, it's going to just be explosive gains. Theoretically, right? Theoretically. All right. This chart is hilarious. Weekly change in the S&P 500, weekly change in the Fed's balance sheet. So where's all the inflation going, right? It's just going into the stock market. And here's proof. This is all the evidence I need. And yeah. And like I said, someone asked on the live stream if, or maybe it was in the chats, can the stock market go up forever as long as the Fed keeps printing? Well, technically it can, kind of like Venezuela, but at some point the balance sheet can't be ignored by the market, and the debt can't be ignored. And then once the real economy starts falling, I guess the market can ignore the real economy, but like I said, a lot of money. That's why shorting the market. By the way, I've never said short the market. But you could just buy mining stocks, right? Or metals futures, whatever. And you don't have to short the market. You could just go long in that. And you get a lot of the capital will move and transition into the most not the most underweighted asset class and ignored asset class in the world, which is metals. And arguably, I guess you could say cryptos right now as well. They're in the bear market. So the average American now carries a credit card balance of nearly 6,200. So that's crazy because their average savings is like below 1,000. Credit card rates now stand at 17.4% on average, only down slightly from a record high of 17.85. That's insane. So this is another problem, right? Because it's a consumer-based economy. I mean, once the consumer's tapped out, they're tapped out. They can't just keep consuming. The Trump administration policies have put our economy on a trajectory it has never been on before. Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's literally calling for QE and negative interest rates, and I get it. I understand that he knows that. I think Trump is basically betting on the fact of literally the dollar milkshake theory, which I made that video like a week ago or a few weeks ago. You have to watch that; it's important. So he wants a weaker dollar. The Fed does. The Fed wants a weaker dollar as well. Not too weak though. And then they want to suck up the world's capital, and then they need to fund, let's say, infrastructural spending and all kinds of stuff. And the only way they're going to be able to do that is if QE and low interest rates. Basically, it's kind of like, let's just keep the party going as long as the dollar still has value, because we're competing with the rest of the world, and let's just stay the cleanest shirt in the dirty hamper and watch the rest of the world falter falter before we do. And then when we restructure the international financial monetary system, the US will still have the most say and power if they're the last one standing. That's my theory, and I think that's what Trump's doing. Because, they can't do the right thing, and the right thing is to just raise interest rates, because we'll have a worse than the 1930s Great Depression. And then, so. Anyways, I mean, these deals are just deals. All right, the only reason we were able to get our great USMCA trade deal approved was because so the trade deal thing looks like it's going through, and I'm speculating it's buy the rumor, sell the fact. And if you actually look into the deal, is it any better than it was from the beginning? I don't know. I haven't looked into it because they haven't released it yet, because they haven't finalized the deal. So maybe when the deal finally gets finalized, then the market is going to pull back and have a correction. I'm not saying it's going to crash, it's just going to have a major correction. Now, I know I made that all-time high call, so I'll talk about that in a second. I just thought this was a hilarious meme I wanted to share. Because a lot of my viewers are Gen Xers. And this is funny. Here it comes. I think this is a real picture. This dude's just standing there with a tornado behind. Those tornado chasers. Alright, so this meme. It's not just funny, it's important. So, I forgot to add another picture. I'll come back to this. But let's talk about so my call for the all-time high, right? When I did that, the S&P was at 3,220. Okay? Right now it's a little bit higher. A few basis points, 10, 20, it's at 3,230 or something right now. I don't know. We'll look at it in a second. I haven't even looked. Still, if it pulls back next week, tomorrow, today's Sunday, right? It's the 29th. If it pulls back this upcoming week and into next month, then I'm still right until the market makes a new all-time high, right? So the market can make an all-time, this could be the all-time high, and then the market corrects in a really big way, and then it might not ever come back to this peak. right? Yet the market never crashed. Does that make sense? For the next like 2 or 3 years. You don't know. All right. So making this call is like extremely like crazy in a way because no one ever makes a call like that. So I am I putting my reputation on the line? Not really, because it might sting, and I'll just admit that I was wrong, but I think it's an all-time high for like 2020. Okay? In 2019. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. All right? I still think we're way overdue for a pullback. So, let me talk about this meme or whatever. Okay, this is what I want to talk about. So, 36% of millennials polled say that they approve of communism, which is up significantly from 28% in 2018. Now, a lot of people are tweeting, it's because of the Fed. No, I mean, it has something to do with it because of the wealth inequality, yes. But it's way deeper than that. Way deeper than that. All right, and I'm going to talk about that right now. Okay, yeah, so all of this cheap money goes into the stock market, and the wealthiest and the elite have, monopoly corps, right? And they also have, they sit on all the boards, and they hold the largest percentages and of stock shares, this and that, on the market. I don't want to say free market because it's not. All right, and yes, they get super super rich, but in a nutshell, do you really think just because a lot of people are becoming wealthy and everyone else isn't becoming wealthy creates so much envy that it turns into full-blown, like, communism? No, it can't just be that. It takes more than that. One is, I think, the biggest problem is the educational system. Not too long ago I went to college, right? And I saw what was happening, the transitions. Like in the business school, there wasn't, it was, I wouldn't say it was anti, right? But they didn't promote it. But in every other school they promoted it. Why is that? Because the public schooling system and the universities in the US get most of their money from the government through grants, right? So the government gives college students loans that they shackle them down with for the rest of their lives. So they give them free money. Like anyone with a heartbeat could go and get like 100,000 grand or something, and then they will find any university and they could go to it. And they get that money up front from the government, right? And that's how the wages in the universities grow and expand, and that's why that's why you could speculate that some professors are all about big gov, because they profit off of it, right? Because all these students, they have a job because of it. All these students get the free money from the Fed, right? And there you go. That's like the major one. What's the other thing? So this is what I find fascinating. So the lefties, and you know what? There is a common ground with the lefties, with the righties, with the libertarians and the anarchists. There's actually a common ground for all of them. All right? And just saying this stuff is like, no, I've never actually heard anyone else say what I'm about to say. But they have a common ground. They have a common interest. So keep that in mind as I continue to talk about this. So what I'm trying to say is, those are all idiotologies. Okay, they are. And they're all wrong in some way. So it's funny that the lefties hate capitalism while all of the major companies, monopoly corporations, right, push it. They all push it. They all push anti-free market. So why is that? And why don't the lefties see it? Or maybe they do see it, they just don't care. Maybe they see it, they don't care because they have no moral ethics, right? And they just want free stuff. They want this utopia where they don't have to compete and they're taken care of. Which it's idiocracy, right? It's idiotology. And that's what brings me back to that meme, right? So that's what brings me back to this. So the good times, right? And we've had the good times for a very long time, especially in the West. It creates weak men, right? It creates weak women as well. And they don't want to compete. And it's funny because you see a lot of rich kids, trust fund babies, that are all lefties. Why is that? Well, they don't want to compete. And they don't have to because they get free money already. They're used to the free money from their parents, right? And they can't compete. So they don't want a free market because free market's all about competition. That brings me to the corporations that became monopolies through the markets, not free markets. And I'll get to that in a second. But through supposedly capitalism, because that's what everyone thinks. And now they are anti-capitalism. Why is that? It's because they don't want competition either. They don't want to compete with smaller companies. Because guess what? Who writes the regulations? It's not like bureaucrats in the government. It's not. People think that. It's lobbyists. Who owns the lobbyists? The mega companies. The mega companies want more regulation, want bigger gov. Why? Because it kills all their competition, and then they are the market. They become the only source for everyone to shop from, to get services from. And it's a revolving door with government and mega corporations. For one, they get a lot of tax breaks. Two, they get grants and they get taxpayer money, subsidies. Three, they get a lot of business from the government, right? Any company that's aero engineering, technology, tech, big tech, right? And all these companies that build vehicles, engines, anything really, they're one of their biggest clients is the gov. All right, so they're they're really the same thing at the end of the day. Like China, right? Like Huawei or whatever, Huawei. That's basically a state-run corporation. It's state-ran. Well, it's state-controlled. It's not ran by them, but it's ran by the free market, but controlled by the state. And what is that? That's not free market capitalism, guys. That's fascism. All right. So, and that's what everyone doesn't get. They don't understand that. The hardcore lefties don't even get it. They don't understand that at all. The only thing they understand is, I want my utopia, so I don't have to work hard. So, and that's the most destructive ideology, right? Because that's been tried again and again, and it always ends in like disaster on mass scale. The most horrible things happen under that. Then we have the righties, right? Well, they are all about the pretty much the fascism, I guess. Okay. Then you have the free market guys, the libertarians. What's the So I don't agree with everything about them either, believe it or not. Problem with them is, what happens is, at first, that is the best. Everyone's standard of living just increases massively, and then everyone's happy for a very long time. But what happens is there's so much wealth creation and so much prosperity that big organizations start growing and centralized organizations start growing, and the outcome is today, right? You know, just huge centralized authoritarian, like governments all around the world and corporations, internationals all around the world. And now they want, globalism, right? And that's what free market capitalism has sort of led to. And then there's the anarchy, right? The anarchists. That doesn't work either. What happened? The anarchist is like the last thing that happens once everything goes to shit, and that's the best thing after everything's fallen apart. The problem with that is it never works because there's always people who are going to organize no matter what, and then they gain power through organizing, and then they take over like mafias and whatnot. So. And then your neighboring country or whatever, you could be anarchist, but they're not. And then they raised a ton of money for like a mechanized military, and they just come in and do whatever they want, take all your wealth or whatever. So at the end of the day, there is no answer to any of this. There isn't. It's just cycles. It's just cyclical. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. So wasting your time with these ideologies, I mean, I still, talk about the free market. Like, my ideology is just freedom. Just leave me alone. Let everyone just be left alone and leave everyone else alone. Stop forcing someone else to do something or to give you their money, right? Stop trying to allocate other people's resources, stuff like that. That's what my ideology is. So, in a nutshell, from a bird's eye perspective and view, I think the best thing for you is to not waste your time and to step aside and just pay attention to everything. But at the end of the day, just do what's best for yourself. And the reason you pay attention to what's happening is so you could take preemptive measures to strategize and to just get out of the way of harm. And just let them all do what they want to do. And in the end, they're all going to just destroy themselves. And historically, that's what always happens. So, there's not going to be a globalism, all right? It's already failing. They're not that smart, guys. What happens is when you're part of the aristocracy, right? The elite, you guys can't imagine their lifestyle. Wherever you go, you have like a little mini army of like bodyguards, and you have like a motorcade of like 5 cars, and then you don't even take commercial flights. You get your private jets, and then the only people you talk to also have great power and wealth. And when you're in this bubble echo chamber, you really think, you start believing like you're indestructible, you're gods, you could just toy with humanity. And the problem is their vision is impossible, because within an ever complex society and complexity, and then on top of it they add bureaucracy and control, you cannot manage the larger an organization becomes, the less effective it becomes because of the bureaucracy and whatnot, and the more complex it becomes. So if they ever even get to the point of some kind of global control, it might last for like literally like half a year or something, and then it'll just fall apart like instantly, because it cannot be managed. They think they can, but that's because of their delusional bubble they live in. Like, think about this. If you cannot imagine their echo chamber and their bubble of like their lifestyle, but if you could just pretend that you could be anywhere in the world any day, you have just an army of people who do your bidding for you, and then all your friends are the same exact way. When you live in that type of environment, you really think you could start just managing humanity. And humanity is like an organism. It manages itself through competition and through freedom. when a small group of people try to manage it, all these ideologies and ideologies from the lefties to the righties to the anarchies to the free market guys, at some point there's a tipping point where they get all of them get pissed off because their standard of living falls so much because of that small group that's trying to control everyone, that they all unite and then just wipe them out. And that's also why with everything you see in the media and everything, they're constantly doing the divide and conquer strategy, because that's what they fear the most. That all of these ideologies just one day go, you know what? Let's stop fighting each other for a minute, and let's just take a look at that little group over there who actually, manipulates everything. So if you found that informative, smash them likes. I don't think anyone else has put together the puzzle piece quite like that. I've never heard anyone else, and I listen to a lot of people. All right, it's kind of risky. I said all that. It doesn't matter. So let's take a look at the markets. So let me finish. So the reason I'm showing you this is there's always going to be that class, that super, elite, right? They were always around in the past. They're around today, and they will be around in the future. The only difference is what society lets them get away with, pretty much. That's all it is. That's why you need strong men. But the cycle can't be stopped, because the good times bring, weak men. So just the cycle can't be stopped, guys. So just let it. You gotta just step out of the way and not worry about it, and not be afraid. Just take precautionary measures. That's what we're doing here. All right. The dollar's at the 97 handle, and I still think we're gonna go and revisit the 200-week moving average, which is around the 95s or the 95 on the dollar index. Gold, of course, is doing amazing. When you see gold rally like this, the stocks and the ETFs, they shoot up like rockets. Silver, although hasn't shot up, that's the one that's being held down. But when you see silver, I'm telling you, go above $20. I don't that's the signal that it's gonna take off like a rocket. Now here's my theory. Everyone's like, yeah, but metals have rallied so much this past 8 months and 6 months, and it needs a huge correction. Not really, because it's with everything going on right now in the world, the endless central bankers, right, printing and propping up the markets and all that. No, I mean gold should be at 3,000 right now. Also, globally, now in the dollar we haven't hit all-time highs, right? But globally we have. And when something keeps hitting all-time highs, what happens is the FOMO begins, right? And maybe globally we'll see a FOMO. And maybe in dollars we'll see an all-time high in the next few months. I don't really know, guys, all right? But it wouldn't surprise me. And if it does that, the mining stocks will eventually really you're I already see there's a bunch of mining stocks in my portfolio that are up hundreds of %, but there's a lot that aren't, but those are going to be as well, right? That's what I'm expecting when gold hits new all-time highs. And if gold hits new all-time highs, or even gets near it, silver has to finally break out, because it's going to pull it up. And then, if there is manipulation on it, it'll break. All the shorts will get squeezed, and they won't be able to stop it. And listen, guys, they can't manipulate it forever. That's why we had this huge bull market from 2000 and I mean, essentially from 2000 all the way to 2011. That's what we're looking at again. Another like 3-5 year bull market, maybe longer. I don't know. But so in the dollar, yeah, we're not even like we're 3/4 of the way to the all-time high. In every other currency around the world, it's making new all-time highs. So if the rest of the world is FOMO buying metals, but the US isn't, that doesn't mean that the price is going to correct. It might just shoot up and make new all-time highs in dollars despite whatever's happening in the US. Now, the fact that I'm expecting a correction and a pullback, which I still am, will also act as a catapult for metals. That's my intermediate guess, right? Which I could change, but that's what I'm thinking, all right? And this euphoria trade, I mean, come on. I feel like a lot of people are going to take profits next month, right? They're just holding on so they don't have to, I talked about this, so they don't have to pay cap gains, right? All right. So I'm still bullish. I'm still holding on. Yeah, there's going to be little dips on the way up. I mean, that's normal. But I'm still holding. Hold the line. Hold the line. So on the 3-day chart, every candlestick represents 3 days. We're on a 7 count. So there's still another, a week possibly of upside, then possibly a pullback to test 1500, and then it might just keep going higher, which it should if the market corrects. And, looking at the S&P, here's a 4-hourly time frame. It looks ready on the 4-hour. Looks real ready on the daily. It's on a 5 count, but, the heat map, the oscillators are just way overextended. So let's take a look at the 3-day. It's on a 6 count. Heat map's super real red right here. Let's take a look at the weekly. We had a 9 sell last week. We're right above it. If this candle, if next week ends on the S&P below 3,220 again, then that reassures me that this might be a nice beginning of a correction. Besides the fact that it's outside of my major trend line here, that goes all the way back to 2009. Let's take a look at the monthly. The monthly's on an 8 count. So it's already telling me next month we're going to get a huge correction on S&P. Not just that, guys. If we look at the Russell 2000, which is a great indicator, it moves quicker prior to other indices because it's domestic for the U.S. at least. And that sold off way more last week than the rest of the indices, so that might be a red flag as well. All right, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'll make more detailed TA my next video. Tomorrow I'll make a BTC video. So I'm still holding long on metals. I'll take also check this out. The 10-year yield, it's they're going to cap it. The 10-year, they're already talking about it, capping them. Meaning they're not going to let the free market push up interest rates to normalize it. So that's very positive for metals. And it looks like it's heading back down to retest this. These arrows have been up for weeks, guys. Sometimes I'm really impressed with myself. I don't know how I do. Anyways. All right. So smash them likes. Leave anything in the comment section. Share my videos. And 15% off for like 2 more days. And then I'm probably not going to put on that 15% off for a while. Because it is what it is. That's it for now. Till next time.